Hello and welcome to making fettuccine Alfredo. For this you will need 1 packet of fettuccine noodles, 1.5 containers of heavy whipping cream, 36% works fine, 1 tablespoon of minced garlic, 1 block slice of Sarvicho cheese, shredded just like this, but you can also chop them up if needed, 1 tablespoon of cornstarch or flour. For this I will be using flour, 3 tablespoons of butter, about a half tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil, and some salt and pepper. Now to begin, we're going to set the pot that we're going to use to make the sauce in about medium heat. We're going to add our olive oil, but for this I usually just eyeball it because you can just pour a little bit in, just enough so that way it covers the pan when you twirl it around. Now if you have too much, you can always take a paper towel or something and just dab it out because it's not too hot at that point. Plus, I don't usually like too much olive oil because then it makes the entire sauce a little bit too oily. And now we will add our garlic. I'm usually fine mincing it myself, but it tastes the exact same even if you use a jar or not. And I use a big old helping like that, and then we just stir it occasionally around the pan, basically so all of it gets a light golden brown. It usually just takes about 4 to 5 minutes cooking for the garlic. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take away our pan that we're going to use to cook the noodles, fill it up with water, and we're going to boil it. Now what I do is that I use the same olive oil and I just do a little bit, just like that, so that way the noodles don't stick together. And a little bit of salt too, of course. And now I think that we can actually add a little bit more of that minced garlic. I usually like my minced garlic a lot, so I'm fine adding a little extra. Sometimes I add almost 2 tablespoons, but I like my minced garlic. And now let's turn up our water boil to pretty high, so I'm saying this right in the middle of 9 and 8. And then again, just a little bit more of the minced garlic. And now at this point, about 4 minutes in, it should look your nice golden brown. And so then we'll add our whipping cream. We're going to add the full container of the first one and then just half of the second. Now usually you could just about weigh it and see if you dump half. That's usually what I do, because either way you'll find that it should look about this once it's in. And now at this point, your key is to continuously stir the sauce, even while you add things like your flour and your cheese. And as you can see, I'm not doing a sifter for this, so if you don't have a sifter at home, you can just do this with your cornstarch or your flour, just a little bit at a time while stirring to make sure that it doesn't get lumpy. You can also probably see in the background here, we turned up the burner for the sauce because now we want it to boil as we're cooking it and stirring it around. And now we will also add our cheese. And then usually start with the big blocks first, just in case you have any, because then that takes some time for them to melt. And then you work your way up to the smaller pieces, like the shredded pieces that I mentioned before. And then you're going to be pulling double duty because as we can see, the water for the noodles is boiling at this point. So here is when you add the noodles. And then I usually just try to spread them out when you add them in. So just grab the entire thing from the box, and then we just kind of spread them out just like that. And then as you can see, it'll already be doing its magic in the water of just softening it. And then as you saw, we added a little bit more olive oil just to make sure they don't stick together. And then my mom is helping me with this, just to make sure that we get everything done. Both noodles, just to stir them occasionally, and to keep continuously stirring that sauce. And then, I noticed that it's a little bit too thin, so we're going to add a little bit more flour. Now we're going to be doing this for about 4 to 5 minutes. and then near the end, we can let it rest. And so we're gonna taste our noodle just to see how it tastes. It should be pretty soft in your mouth. You shouldn't feel too hard when you bite it. So we're gonna turn off our burners, and we're going to drain our noodles. And I usually just do it in the sink with a strainer, just like this. Just dump it out, nice and easy. And now we will add our 3 tablespoons of butter, because not only will it make the noodles taste better, but it'll add that extra layer to make sure that it doesn't stick together. And now everything is lined up together so we can add our sauce and our noodles. And as you can see, the sauce is a little bit thin right when you take off the stovetop, but it will thicken enough over time as you're eating it. As we can see here, I usually just like it noodles and sauce. Sometimes people add parsley, but I like it like this. But now it looks delicious, and now we can taste our delicious meal and see how... Yes, usually after I cook it, I just refrigerate it, because I find that the tastes are richer in the sauce after you refrigerate it and then heat it back up again as a leftover. Now we heat it up in our microwave, and it should taste good, and the sauce should be extra thick. Yep, cheesy and a hint of garlic. Well, a lot of it.